Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. Today is November 14th, 2022. Let's talk NFL football. Let's talk betting strategies. Let's share betting strategies. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, early in the year, before we figured out that the Jets are better than advertised and that other teams would be doing well, right? My strategy was to play in the futures market a well-coached, well-quarterbacked, good defensive team that the public was overlooking, right? The idea was to set it up so that I had a series of bets on this team in the futures market. And as this team progressed during the season, I would be able to hedge against them, right? After they made the playoffs. Them just making the playoffs would give me a profit. So I was looking for a team that the public thought was shaky, that I thought was better than advertised. The team I picked were the New England Patriots. Right now, people forget there was a time where Mac Jones got replaced at quarterback. Mac Jones was injured. People might remember that New England flamed out last year against Buffalo late in the season. Josh McDaniel left the team. He's now the head coach of the Raiders, who are terrible, by the way. Right? And of course, Bill Belichick was fooling around, bringing back people to serve as co-coaches. We didn't quite know who exactly was going to be calling the plays on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball, etc. But it's Bill Belichick. I believe in Bill. Right? Mac Jones, former quarterback at Alabama. I believe in Mac Jones. Well, just to understand, at different times, you were able to get the Patriots at 40-1 to win it all. Now, understand, I don't believe the Patriots win the Super Bowl. I'm not sure if the Patriots get to the Super Bowl. But I was willing to bet that the Patriots make the playoffs, right? I thought 40-1, that's plenty of leverage, right? At other times, they were 25-1. I thought that's plenty of leverage to work with. I can key off that with other plays, right? And of course, I took some of the favored teams at the time, the Buffalo Bills, to win the Super Bowl and stuff like that. Because understand, it's very early in the year, before the teams actually start winning games, that you're going to get the best odds. So right now, New England is in last place in the AFC East. But understand, they're 5-4, folks. They have a winning record. So that bet is going well. I'm expecting the Jets to come back to the pack. Right? But here's what I'm seeing right now in terms of other plays. I'm happy with how things are working with New England. Right? I agree. I need a little help for them to make the playoffs. But that's okay. If they get close enough to the playoffs, I could start hedging midway through December. So, the Buffalo Bills. Folks, understand that, according to reports, Josh Allen, and I know they're calling it an elbow problem, might have an injured UCL. When I say injured, all I mean is strained somewhat, not 100%. Right? You know, if you've had back problems, sometimes it's not that your back's torn, it's just that some muscle in your back is lazy and acts up at certain angles. Right now, understand a UCL injury, arm injury, makes your arm unreliable. Degrades not only your arm strength, but your accuracy. So understand, it shut down, that same injury shut down Carson Palmer 1 year. It's a serious injury. Now, every young guy thinks he's Superman. Josh Allen thinks he can work through it, right? I believe he's having problems throwing the football. So, they lost yesterday to Minnesota, a game they should have won, a game that Minnesota had to come back in, right? A game where Patrick Peterson got 2 picks on Josh Allen. Well, understand, they have bigger problems than that because the Miami Dolphins have a better record. They're 7-3, right? The Bills are 6-3. More importantly, the Kansas City Chiefs are 7-2 and now are ahead of Buffalo in the pecking order for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So, let's look outside of these teams. The Ravens are 6-3, right? This is after playing one of the tougher schedules in the NFL up until now. This is after some heartbreaking losses that the that the Ravens suffered late in games. They're 6-3, same record as the Bills. Also, I know Jamar Chase is out for the Bengals. But let's be real. It's obvious now that Joe Burrow, who made the Super Bowl last year, is one of the league's best quarterbacks. The Bengals, by the way, are 5-4. Also, the Bengal defense is one of the underreported stories of this year. Right? Again, the Bengals are 5-4. So right now, here are the adjustments I've recently made to my futures portfolio. Right? I've put a little bit extra money on Kansas City. Right? Again, they now have the jump on Buffalo. Right? If they outperform Buffalo, then they won't have to play from this point forward the rest of the season. If they just match Buffalo from this point forward to the end of the season, then they won't have to go to Buffalo to play Buffalo in the playoffs. Right? So I put a little bit extra on Kansas City. They're going off at a plus 500 right now to win it all. Right? Understand, too, in the NFC North, I thought Green Bay was going to win that division. Well, folks, it's over now, isn't it? Minnesota is up big on Green Bay. Minnesota has 4 more wins right now, playing 1 fewer game than the Green Bay Packers. Your assumption has to be that Minnesota is going to be one of the top 2 seeds in the NFC, right? Understand, you're getting the Vikings right here at 12-1 odds, right? So, the plays that are intriguing to me right now, and I'm just looking for good teams that the public doesn't seem to fully appreciate. Let me see if I can pull up the odds here. So, the plays that I'm looking at, and forgive me, I have a laptop right behind this, right? And keep in mind, we're not picking the best teams, I'm picking the best values. A little bit different. So the Ravens, same record as the Buffalo Bills, right? The Bills are a plus 375 to win the Super Bowl. The Ravens are a plus 1,400. Same record. Right, same record. The Ravens are actually on top of their division, unlike the Bills. So since I'm looking for value, I've sprinkled a little bit on the Baltimore Ravens. Let's stay in that division. The Bengals are just 1 game behind the Ravens. The Bengals, of course, are the defending AFC champions. Right? The Bengals are going off at 2,800 to 1. That's today, November 14th, 2022. I know Chase is out, but you're getting one of the best quarterbacks in the game. You're getting one of the best running backs in the game. Joe Mixon, Mr. 5 touchdowns in his last game. You're getting really a defense that's surprisingly effective, right? Rather than spend a plus 375 on the Bills, a team with a quarterback who's having arm trouble, I'd rather spend a 2,800, plus 2,800 on the defending AFC champions, right? Let me also say, too, I know this guy has had problems. He's had a hell of a year, right? He's getting divorced. You get the feeling that wasn't his idea. He was, according to reports, a FTX crypto investor. That hasn't turned out well, right? A lot of his team, they were injured. You know, would it shock you to know that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady are actually sitting atop their division? Now, I believe the playoffs are a different animal altogether, right? The playoffs really do punish young, vibrant teams who are unfamiliar with the process. In other words, if you lack experience, you're going to have problems in the playoffs. Well, just understand, Tom Brady has a lot of playoff experience, has a lot of Super Bowl experience, and of course, he and his teammates, Leonard Fournette, others, recently won a Super Bowl. It wasn't that long ago that Tampa brought home the trophy, right? This is a dangerous team. You're getting them right now at a plus 1,600. Right? Tampa's the kind of team, right? The year they won the Super Bowl, you might recall, they had to go to Green Bay and beat Green Bay in Green Bay. This is that kind of team where all they have to do is sneak into the playoffs, and they're causing a lot of trouble for a lot of people, right? Especially this year where you have some paper tigers in the NFC. Look, I'm a Giants fan. Right, I go back with the Giants back before Joe Pisarcik. Right, I can just tell you the Giants are a paper tiger. Right, some of the teams in the NFC, you look at them and you're thinking, wow, how's this team really going to hold up under adversity? Right, if Tampa wins their division, folks, they're in the playoffs. That's the way the math breaks. If they're in the playoffs, good luck betting against Tom Brady throwing to Mike Evans, throwing to Julio Jones, who had a good last week, throwing to Chris Godwin, right? I mean, just understand, they have weapons. They just haven't been on the field at the same time. Let me close with this. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm not sure why he gets as much grief as he gets. You know, it's absurd, quite frankly, that this guy in the preseason wasn't allowed to practice with the team. They were going to have Trey Lance start at quarterback. Now, if you go back a few years on my videos, I was rooting for the Niners to pick up Trey Lance. Right? But Trey Lance isn't as good as Jimmy Garoppolo. Right? Garoppolo has gotten to the Super Bowl before. Right? Garoppolo had a lead on the Rams in the playoffs last year. Late in that game. Right? He had a double-digit lead on Pat Mahomes in the Super Bowl recently. Well, now the Niners are getting a lot of their players back. This team was very injured. Very injured. Now the Niners are actually getting their health back. Folks, Buffalo is a plus 375 to win it all. Kansas City is a plus 500 to win it all. The Eagles are a plus 500 to win it all. How am I getting 9-1 odds Again, 9-1 odds on the Niners to win it all. Right? I mean, folks, Josh Allen doesn't have Super Bowl experience. Jalen Hurts doesn't have Super Bowl experience. Jimmy Garoppolo does. Right? The Niners just picked up Christian McCaffrey. Understand, with Kyle Shanahan, they're doing all kind of crazy stuff, having Deebo Samuels in the backfield with Christian McCaffrey and stuff like that. Are you sure that this team doesn't have the most talent in the NFC? Well, understand, after all is said and done, we know, looking at their division, that the Rams aren't going to do much this year. I'll be shocked if the Rams get back to the Super Bowl. We know Arizona isn't going to do much this year. Right? That NFC West that looked like a juggernaut in late August before they started the regular season now has weeded itself out. Geno Smith, I have a Geno Smith jersey. Right? Geno Smith is underrated. I like Seattle a lot. I'm not confusing Seattle with the San Francisco 49ers. Folks, one of those two teams is loaded, and it's not Seattle. I believe the Niners really come on strong. And I believe you're getting rewarded for the risk here. Right? A plus 900. A plus 900 on a team that made the NFC Championship game last year. I'll take my chances. I believe you're not going to continue to get odds around the plus 900 range on the San Francisco 49ers. I believe now in mid-November, you need to make your move on this team if you haven't already. So that's how I see it. Right? I'm bullish on the New England Patriots. Right? The Patriots are a bettor's dream to me. You're getting outrageous odds. And of course, they continue to do what they always do. Above average defense. They're in most games. They got the guy who many feel the Niners should have gotten, and Mac Jones, underrated quarterback. Right? Who cares who Bill Belichick's coordinators are? Somehow the team is well coached. Right? They're not just losing it at the end of games. In fact, they're winning games they shouldn't have won. Right? I think that's spectacular. I'm using the Patriots for leverage purposes, right? Obviously, if I have the Patriots and they make the playoffs, then I'm cooking with gas. Because I would have hit on the Patriots making the playoffs prop. And then, of course, I'd have likely the underdog in every playoff game they play. Right? Right here, I'm investing more on Kansas City. They have the jump on Buffalo. Right? I'm not convinced Buffalo runs away with the AFC. So I'm looking at AFC North teams, right? The Ravens and the Bengals. I'll agree it's not the Steelers' year. I'll agree it's not Cleveland's year. Right? In the NFC, I thought Aaron Rodgers and company were going to take their division. They're not. The Vikings have a hell of a lot of talent all over the field. I know there are question marks about Kirk Cousins on the road. Well, he was in Buffalo, and he just beat Buffalo. Right? I'm not going to ignore the 4-win jump they have on Green Bay. I'm assuming pretty soon the Vikings will be able to start preparing for the playoffs. Right? Understand, 17-game season. 17-game season. And they have a 4-win advantage on Green Bay. Right? Also, Aaron Rodgers, let's face it, is throwing to guys you haven't heard of. Right? Green Bay has spent the money on defense, not on offense. So, those are the areas I'm looking right now. Understand, when you're betting futures, you're going to adjust and adjust and adjust all the way up until the postseason, right? But keep an eye on the Ravens and the Bengals. Keep an eye on Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers, right? Keep an eye on Pat Mahomes. If you're thinking of a guy to pick for MVP, and I know some guys are having great years. Geno Smith's having a great year. But wow, you and I know Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes are going to go for that home field advantage, aren't they? Right? Pat Mahomes leads the league in passing yards right now. He's putting on a show. Tyreek Hill is gone. Now suddenly Mecole Hardman is doing well. Juju Smith-Schuster is doing well. Tony just scored a touchdown. Right? Keep an eye on that. Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this video. And of course, keep an eye on the last place team in the AFC East, Bill Belichick's New England Patriots. Thanks for stopping by.